Good morning, folks. This is Chip Davison with the Wiscasset Area Chamber, here with a chamber chat with Chip, something new we're trying here in the neighborhood of Lincoln County. And we want to thank Lincoln County TV today for hosting us and giving us the opportunity to come into their studios and do this chamber chat. And what the chamber chat is it's we're going to be profiling our businesses in the local area. And today we just want to kick off this programming with one of our very high-profile businesses, Ames Supply in Wiscasset. And today with us is Jeff Averill of Ames Supply, one of the owners. And we're going to just sit into a conversation here with him this morning and find out a little bit more about Ames Supply and the interactions and goings-on with what's been happening in their business. So today we have Jeff Averill with us. And Jeff, how are you doing this morning?
Good to be here.
Good. Well, thank you.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for coming. I think this is going to be a great sort of thing for our chamber members, and I do appreciate you kicking it off with us. Mm-hmm. So just as a go-in with this, you own Ames Supply?
Been there forever.
Been there forever.
Forever.
You own this jointly with your brother. You have two brothers?
Two brothers and my mother.
And so it's your mom, Arlene.
Yeah.
And Wayne, he's
Wayne,
the baby of the family,
yeah.
and Steve's
and
middle.
Steve, yeah.
And so I know I do a lot of business at Ames. I like to come in at least 5 times a week and say hi to everyone. You know, and the one thing I noticed all the time, it's a very, very friendly store to come into. I mean, there's times I feel like it's just nice to come in and say hi to everybody. And your whole family actually is very greeting of everyone I see there. Yeah. So tell me, Jeff, where did Ames Supply start?
Ames Supply started in the very early 60s up on the West Dolner Road in my grandfather's house in a barn. He and Wiley Munsey used to buy cars of grain together, and then they pedaled a little bit along the way, and it kind of grew from there. He found out he could sell a grease gun, or he could sell something else along with it, and it kind of grew from there. Great.
So as he did that, so basically you'd gone in as a feed store for the animals in the neighborhood and stuff, and it was very successful from there. And so as that progressed up in Alna, then what happened? How did you?
Well, in the early 60s, the barn burned, so he needed a place to work out of, because he was primarily at that time a farmer. So he bought the old freight shed down in Wiscasset, the old railroad freight shed. Yep. And painted the showroom about the ugliest green you could ever imagine, but it worked. built some old shelves, and off he went, selling a little gardening supplies and farm stuff and a lot of grain, which worked out good because they had a rail side in there then.
Right.
So you could take it right out of the car and put it in the building instead of trucking it home.
Right. Now that was so from that spot at the grain shed, you got another building after that.
Yep. He bought the old Wiscasset Grain Company, which was over on the bridge, the big red building on pylons. And that was quite a change, because he had some room to work with, and that was quite a business.
And so now, when were you working at any given time there? Were you, as a young person, did you go in every weekend?
You were there from the time you were just a little fella right up through. And some days you didn't have a whole lot of choices about that.
Yeah, and it seems like that. I can remember, and I certainly went to school with Wayne and Steve, and if they weren't, if they had a little extra time, it always seemed like they were going to work, and so you'd sort of been brought up that way. With a good work ethic, and you
Grandpa had a work ethic,
yeah,
and you could go by it, or he had a size 12 foot that would encourage you to do
it.
Yes.
Yeah. So he
Yeah.
He understood the goodness in being able to go to work.
Yeah.
and everything
And
that
everything
came
that
from
comes
it.
with it. That's right.
Well, that's interesting. So I can remember as a very young person, 4, 5, 6, 7. My dad would often stop there on the bridge, and I try to imagine what that would be like in today's traffic, in today's world. The one thing we always enjoyed going with my dad, and he'd pull in off Route 1 and sort of pull onto the wood-covered
Yeah. The wharf.
tiered deck.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as far as as kids, we didn't really care so much about what was in the store. It was just kind of a cool thing to look through the cracks at the water
At the
underneath.
water, yeah.
And jump out and walk all over that deck. And so I kind of remember that just as vividly as all get out. And Dad would go in, transact his business, get his dog food, get whatever else was being sold there at the time. Did you expand the product line at that time, or was it just feed?
No, they had quite a lot of farm supplies, a little bit of hardware, a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yeah, yeah.
But that was a great old building.
Yeah,
It was a lot of fun.
And I always remember the 3 big tanks. I think there were three big
Yeah.
fuel tanks, right?
Fuel tanks.
So
yeah.
you sold fuel there too?
They sold heat and oil and gasoline. Had a gas pump out on that old pier, and
Wow. So
Quite
was there a gas pump?
Yeah, the gas pump.
cars right up?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
There was a
Okay.
Shell gas pump there.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
So did you run that too, or?
Wow, we were just little
you
then.
did? Oh,
But we called it working, but we mostly played. I think.
Well, it's all right.
We could go upstairs and climb on the old grain bins till Graham found us, and then that didn't turn out so
That was
good.
the end of that, huh?
But on the end of the building, there was a piece that came right out on Route 1, and up on the top floor was the seed room. And if you was kind of clever and had a pea shooter, you could shoot peas into the windows of the cars going by.
Oh.
Kind of nice. And you had an unlimited supply of ammunition, so it was pretty good.
So you could have
A lot of fun.
all day long.
You could have fun all day long till you get caught.
Now, I kind of, and being in that downtown segment there, I'm sure probably Red's Eats was in the neighborhood
Yeah.
then. Traffic apparently wasn't as bad as it is nowadays.
Not as bad. People used to stop on the bridge and take pictures of the Hesper and Luther
They
Little.
Just
Just stop,
and take
get
a
out,
picture.
take a picture, and get
Isn't
back
that
in and
something?
go. Yeah.
And so right across the street where the Creamery Pier is now, there was the big old barn that was there.
Yeah.
That was Wiscasset Lumber?
That was Wiscasset Lumber back in those days. And then Gardner Flood put his little, expanded from across the tracks and put his marina over there.
And he had his marina.
Yeah.
And there was Flood's Hardware.
Flood's Hardware on the corner,
All that.
where
right,
Sarah's is now.
all that
Yep.
right in that same neighborhood. And there was the Wiscasset Hardware
Yeah.
and Lumber
Yeah.
right there on the other side by Red's, where Red's is today. And so it was quite a compact neighborhood. And of course, we had a supermarket just up the street.
You had everything you ever wanted right there in
And
Wiscasset.
you didn't have to go anywhere else.
Nope.
Back in those days.
Povich's had clothes and hip boots and
And
drugstore.
things keep changing, and sometimes I don't think the neighborhood realizes, because these old buildings are gone, and they don't really realize what was there. They don't really realize how the community has changed over the years and how we continue to change. We hear a lot of kickback with the traffic. We've obviously gotten new traffic lights in place.
Yeah.
And we'll see how those do someday.
Someday.
But it always seemed to be a little bit slower when we were younger there, and certainly.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
was.
Could you imagine being down there now with the traffic situation?
That just wouldn't work.
And where would we park?
Where would you park? How could you do anything?
isn't it-
You couldn't
it's
get
amazing.
through.
So, anyways, moving right along. So something happened to make you move. What
Yeah, the grain mill caught fire.
caught fire?
Burned to the ground.
So that was an event, and
That was-
I remember that disappearing all of a sudden.
Yep. Yeah.
And I'm like, what happened?
Yeah. Yeah. Middle of the afternoon, she caught fire and burned to the ground.
And there was nothing could be done.
Nothing.
Just went up like
It
tinder.
was an big old building, and the fire department tried to their very best to save it, but there was no. The fire load was just so much.
Yeah, wow.
And
So that drove you. It was startling, but you
Yeah.
had to move on again.
Yeah, yeah. Grant moved back to the old freight shed for a year or two.
So they moved back and just kept going. Next
Yeah,
day,
the next
we got to go back in business.
the next morning it was let's get going, and we went down. And after things cooled off, there was some change in the ashes where the old
Yep.
safe was, and we picked that out. But that was really about all there was left.
Wow.
So, but he went back to the old freight shed, and with thanks to many companies that extended him credit and kept him going, he eventually moved out onto Route 1.
So then you moved out into the building on Route 1 right across from Wiscasset Ford.
Yep, yep.
And, again, as I was older, I came into there, tools, clothes,
Mm-hmm.
different things. That started smaller, right? And there was
That
some
started a lot
expansions.
smaller and was added on to, I don't know, 3-4 times.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Very good.
yeah.
And then, all of a sudden, probably I can't remember the exact year, you moved up the hill.
Yeah, that was as much as 15 years ago, come
15
to
years
find
ago
out.
now, wow.
Yeah, yeah. Some folks that helped us move that day had a set of twins, just weeks old. And I asked a fellow here a while ago, I said, how old are the kids now? And he said, well, they're 15. I said, oh my, I didn't realize we'd been up there so long.
Isn't that amazing?
Yep,
Time just flies on
it
that.
does.
So I recall, as the new building went up, and I'm sure I chatted with Wayne a little bit because he was, there were always controversies of trying to get things going, and because the same building that you could do when you built the first building, it was much harder to do the next time around. There
Right.
were, sludge ponds to build and entrances for the DOT,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of little fights to get into. But you did it.
We
and
did it.
It's
We did
but
it.
from there, yeah, it opened as a beautiful store.
Mm-hmm.
And then I noticed that it wasn't before too long that you had to do another addition.
Yep, yep. It just keeps growing.
And then before too long there was another addition.
Yep.
Uh,
You got to keep growing,
so
I guess.
you-
I'm reaching the age where I'm very
you've
comfortable.
done well. But
Yep,
your boy's there,
yep,
and
yep,
he seems to enjoy it.
yeah. He's doing it.
Good,
Yeah.
yeah. So going on, so that's basically in a nutshell the growth, the history of Ames Supply, and it's just been a nice family business. It's you've fought and moved along through all those different things,
Yep.
and made a difference in our Wiscasset community for sure. Just my next question, Jeff, is Ames community impact. You hear leading into this, you've put a lot into the community over the years, and but as you've done that, you've been able to give a lot back. And I know Wayne does a lot with these different organizations.
Mm-hmm.
You offer a variety of goods, and that's as we've talked about the expanses and the expansions that you've done. You seem to keep offering more and more items for people. Is there anything? And I've seen things on the floor before. I kind of wonder, why'd you get that stuff in, and then all of a sudden it's gone. You just a sale comes up from one of these distributors.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, it's sometimes the young fellas do that, and I was quite surprised that you could sell a Yeti cooler for $700 or $800. When they showed up, I shook my head and said, "Who in heck is going to buy a cooler for $300, $400, $500?"
yeah.
but they lug them right out of there. $50 coffee cups. My grandfather knew I had a $50 coffee cup. He'd chew me from one end to the other.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So just a funny story, when I was in the store once, and some of the Amish community were down
Yeah.
and buying things out of there, and I don't know if someone had given them a ride, but they were young folks. I assume headed back to work in the fields, work on houses, or to do whatever, and they lugged out a Yeti cooler.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they obviously know the value
They know the value.
and the quality of things.
Yeah. But they'll have that a long time.
Yeah, yeah. Is there anything else? Is there other products? And I mean, I can sort of think of different, for example, just a metal stool. There was 10 of them. Mm-hmm. Looked like they were just came on the truckload.
They came on the truck.
And I said, well, I'm going to buy one of those.
Yeah.
And I said, I got it home, and I said I should have 2 more. And when I went back, they were gone.
They were gone. Yep. Every once in a while, you'll get a buy on something like that, and you'll scratch your head and say, well, will anybody buy that? But they do.
Yeah.
Or you have them a long time, one or the other. Somebody ends up with them anyway.
Wow. So you do so you still do the whole feed, and the horse community seems to just,
Yeah.
come into the place all the time.
Yeah. Well, see, there's no more cattle really around and so forth, so you had to kind of transition to what there is. Now, of course, with the COVID and so forth, everybody's back to raising chickens and pigs and going along. So that's a big market now too.
Yeah, yeah, and
bigger than it was.
And you stock the horse tack, saddles, etc.
Yeah.
And I don't know all of the equestrian stores in the area, but I know a lot of people do come to you for all that stuff. And that's outside my my circle. But
me too. Girls take care of that.
Well, that's great. But there's so much, and you've gone through, and I know for years you've had clothing, work clothing, boots, all this stuff to keep track of. Ammo. When you've been likened to Hussey's store, everything but wedding dresses.
Yeah, no wedding dresses.
No wedding dresses.
We're missing the wedding dresses.
Have you thought about getting into wedding dresses?
Not yet. No.
Or is that for the younger generation?
That's the younger generation. They can do that. Isn't
that? Yeah, that's amazing. So again, I sort of started out saying at Ames, it's like the show Cheers, where everybody knows your name.
Yeah.
And you seem to know everyone's name when I come in the store.
That's
who
important.
I am.
That's important.
Yeah, you know who this person is.
Yeah.
You tend to call everyone out that comes through that door by name and ask them how they're doing.
Yeah.
And that is the benchmark, the key to one of your successes there. And all your brothers all do the same thing, and your employees all do. You seem to train. Do you train them? You tell them to look out and say hi to people?
We've got the best crew we've ever had.
They seem to
the
really...
best crew anybody could have.
Yeah, they do a really, really good job.
They're all very conscientious, all very friendly. I mean, Lord knows we have our moments, but usually they deserve it.
Everyone in the store is always very helpful. And, I'll have a question in just a minute if I have time left. As we get into this COVID thing, but I want to talk about your community give back. You do the cornhole stuff.
Yeah.
You're always quick to help this community, Wiscasset community, the whole community at large, to be able to, I always come over and buy cookies from the Girl Scouts because you let them sit outside the store.
Take care of the Girl Scouts.
Yeah. And then, when the Legion does their stuff or they have their different cookouts. I mean, so the Father's Day cookout got canceled this year.
Yeah.
Which is a sad thing.
It is.
And I know, you folks always sponsored our Live on the Common concerts, and I chatted about that with Wayne a little. you all seem to be very, very family oriented, and want to make sure families are able to do things, see things, and have fun. Is that how you were growing up too?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, the community, Chip, has been very good to us. They support that store 100%. But you got to give back, and that's the easiest, best way to give back is to keep these little organizations going, and you know, somebody needs a hand, give them a hand.
Yeah, and we always appreciate it. We've appreciated all your hard work in the chamber too. Appreciate today. And I know all these other different folks have really appreciated all the help that you've given them. I know that you offer summer jobs to the different folks and stuff for sure.
Yeah.
And that's really, really great. Hey, so now my next question is on family, a family business. So 3 brothers, sometimes brothers don't get along. How does that work? Now you have extended family. How many family members work at Ames Supply, more or less?
God, probably a dozen.
Dozen of you.
Dozen.
Yeah, and some of them have come in and out and gone on, and certainly
Yeah.
started at Ames Supply. When it's time for the organizational details, does it go into fisticuffs or?
No, we do pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No black eyes?
No
or-
black eyes.
Yeah.
No, a couple twisted arms once in a while. But,
okay.
But we try not to treat each other like family, so to
Yes,
speak.
yeah. So you've made positive decisions in a business-like sense over the years with,
Yeah.
or does your mom come down and tell you how it's going to be?
She kind of hangs back now.
Yeah.
Yeah. She used to come down years ago and straighten us out and go along our way. But
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
she's done a good job then over the years.
yes, she has.
At least to get you there.
All she's put up with.
So with that, and with your emphasis on family, obviously, you fellas have a great work ethic. I always see you you must walk 100 miles, 300 miles, 1,000 miles a day.
Seems like.
If you're on one, I see you on one side of the store, and all of a sudden you're on the other. I see Wayne on this side, and all of a sudden, I have to race around the store to find one of you occasionally.
Yeah.
But it's just an interesting thing. Do you take time? Do you take time off to, and I know we've talked about this. You all go up to camp.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the
Yeah.
up to camp is.
Up to camp is. Yeah. I don't think we get enough time off.
Yeah.
I had a pretty good handle on that in January and February, and I'd started on March pretty good, and then the COVID thing hit.
We all
so
got hit.
that upset the whole thing. But I'm zeroing in again on once we get through this little mess, taking a little more
You're
time.
gonna get some up to camp time.
Gonna get some up to camp time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I usually get at least a little bit of up to camp from Steve and
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
the lake's like.
Yeah, yeah. So, I like the snowmobile, so I kind of work hard during the summer, but
Take time, yeah.
wintertime they ought to get used to not seeing me that much.
Gotcha.
Because the boys can plow snow now, and I don't really need to
They
be
should.
there.
It's good to
Yeah.
let them.
Yeah.
You have to let them sometimes. get
That's
them
right.
To work.
Yeah.
Well, good. So, running the business in the COVID times, we have a couple of minutes left, and
Yeah. That's a
hit us-
challenge. That's a challenge. We tried the curbside. That looked really good on Facebook. Made you a real big hero. But it made
practicality wasn't there.
practicality
No.
was not for
Yeah.
us,
Yeah.
and never worked so hard at that time.
Yeah.
You know,
And then you put the cart system into
we
place.
put the cart system in. Kids come up with a cart system that seems to be working reasonably well. We have some people that can't deal with it, and I feel bad for them because they're going to have to
Yeah.
come to or not. But that's worked pretty well. We got to come up with something a little different so we can get more people through the store, because I think we still got room to get more
a little
people in there safely.
Sure, yeah.
But there's two camps. There's the ones that scared to death and the ones that don't care at all, and then nothing in the middle.
Yeah.
And that causes a lot of friction throughout the day.
Right, it does. And,
All
you know,
the way
and
around.
we're all trying to do, and of course, as the chair of the chamber, we get this stuff in almost daily to get out to the members from our government, from the the medical agencies,
Yeah.
and we try and report it all and get it done. So it's astounding.
It's
really.
been a challenge.
Yeah. So, anyways, we've come right up. Somehow we managed to get through 30 minutes, Jeff.
Already.
We could probably talk for another hour. But,
Yeah, good.
I want to thank you here for being here at this Chamber Chat with Chip.
Yeah.
I do appreciate you folks and all that you do.
Well, we appreciate what you guys do.
Well, thank you, sir.
And
we're
thanks
gonna
for having
be-
us on.
Yeah, this is going to be a great kickoff. They've got some pictures to overlay for us and
Yeah.
put up, and so I think it's going to be a great production. So today I just have interviewed Jeff Averill with Ames Supply. I want to thank their participation, and we want to look forward, and we want to thank LCTV for hosting this and allowing us in their studios. And I just want to look forward and thank you all for participating and watching today. Chamber Chat with Chip. We're going to try and make it a bi-weekly production. And we're going to take a look at our business community, our community in general. And again, thank you all for watching.